What's going on, sir?
Man, not much. I'm out here at my best friend's gym, Primal Martial Arts Academy. One of my sponsors just got done cutting weight and had to leave in the middle of his round so I could come log in.
Well, we appreciate your time, sir. How is the weight cut going, by the way?
Uh, as of a couple of minutes ago, I was sitting at 165, and so I'm right on weight. I'm gonna go home, take me some CBD gummies to kind of help me go to sleep, and
Yeah.
wake up in the morning, get my cornrows done, and head down to Biloxi.
We were just talking to Harris Stevenson. We asked him what's your preferred post weight cut meal, man? Because I know some people, they're kind of superstitious about it. They eat something particular. What's your go-to?
I between it's the last couple of fights, it's been a hibachi place. I'll get like some rice, some hibachi rice, some miso soup because I always cut out my salt, and that
Okay.
just tastes amazing right afterwards. But and then a little bit of sushi, but mainly I don't stuff myself. I just eat a lot over the next 24 hours. I think I normally put on like 20 pounds back on after a fight. I mean, or after weigh-ins, which that's when I'm cutting to 55. So
Okay.
now I feel good stepping in the cage or ring at about 75. So
Okay.
Man,
Wow.
that sounded like a good menu too. I'm not mad at you.
Hey, man,
That
I
sounded
love
good.
hibachi. I mean, so you keep it. I mean, I guess hibachi is fairly still kind of healthy. I mean, rice and meat and veggies, right? I mean, do you just go
right.
like cupcakes, ice cream, anything
No,
like that?
no,
Or
no, no, nothing like that.
Yeah.
They're only because one of my coaches may not actually say this. There may or may not have been a few fights where I went and got a honey bun
Ooh.
that night after weigh-ins, but for the most part, it's strictly water, Pedialyte, fresh fruit, and then I usually get a hibachi with like chicken or something. But no, I usually stick pretty healthy to till after the fight. And after the fight, it's game on for whatever I want.
So I have a question, man. We follow your social media. You're all about this sport, right? You had a fight. You were very eager to get back in and fight again, obviously. Why no gloves? I know it's like a repetitive question, and we've never had you on. This is the first time, so we'll ask you why. What makes it more appealing to you?
So that's kind of something I've had to ask myself. I was here listening to y'all talk to Harris, and oddly enough, it's kind of cool. Me and him were kind of the same way. That was my fight with him was my very first bare knuckle fight. I was the nerdy kid in school as well. I took martial arts, but I didn't get in fights. I walked away. I turned the other cheek probably more times than I should have. So I think as time grew on, the more savage the sport, the more I want to do it just to prove to myself that I belong in this sport and that to let the world know I'm not soft. Like that Leithway where it's basically bare everything. It's headbutt.
Yeah.
Everybody else is looking at it like this is crazy, this is insane, and I'm over here in the corner kind of like I kind of want to go do that, but I don't really see how I'm going to convince any of my coaches to let me do that one.
Less ways something different, but yeah, now that makes it. We were actually, since you were watching it, we were commenting. There's that picture of your fight with Harris where you guys are all busting each other up, and you're both like waiting to strike, and you're both, yeah, it's crazy. You just have the biggest smile on your face, and you wouldn't know if you cut the heads out. You wouldn't know you guys were fighting.
I never feel as happy as I do when I'm in the ring. Like, I don't care if I'm in a 3-round war or 5-round war like I was with Harris, or if I'm submitting somebody in the first round or not knocking them out. When I step in the cage, all stress, all worries go out the door. I'm in there, and I know that for that 15, 10 minutes, whatever, however long it takes, I have one purpose, and I know I'm damn good at that purpose. And so I get to relax and let loose.
So it lets you cut out all the other normal life stresses for the time you're there. It's
Pretty
all
much.
sideline. That's a good way to look at it.
So, I mean, speaking of all that, I mean, talk about you're facing man, I'm gonna make sure my information is you're facing Jonathan Bastante, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's how you pronounce his name.
I want to make Jonathan, because that's how it looks to me. I could be wrong. I'm terrible with names, so Mr. Vastante, if you're watching, I apologize ahead of time if I'm
But he
mispronouncing
can't
it.
be mad. They misspelled my name on the card. They misspelled my name announcing it on interviews. I mean, I've had my name spelled so many different ways. I mean, they know who we are.
Yours is kind of an easy one though.
Yeah, yeah, and yet they still spelled it Khlib. Like I actually had to call Mr. Feldman, and like he actually thought my name was Kaleb because that was how they spelled it to him. And I was like, no, that's not my name.
Yeah. I was going to say, I imagine some people might misspell it Caleb, because.
I get that a lot. That's one of my few pet peeves.
Yeah.
There's one of those on Facebook. If somebody were looking for you, depending on what the first letter is, they may not get you.
Yeah.
But you're here now. Don't matter.
Now.
Doesn't matter how.
I mean, talk about the fight, man. What can we expect out of you this weekend?
You can expect a very much more confident Kaleb. The first time fighting bare knuckle, I'd never been hit bare fist before. I'd never been on a stage that big before. And so my first 2 rounds, I ain't gonna lie, Harris threw some bombs on me. I got cut open. That was the first time in 20. Well, this will be my 20th fight, but that was the first time I'd ever been split open, MMA or otherwise. So I had to learn how to adapt and calm down. So this time going in, I'm going to be a lot more prepared mentally on what to expect, how things are going to feel. Because, I mean, everybody kept telling me, you're going to get cut, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to get cut. I know. I'll just deal with it. Yeah. But then you actually get cut, and now you're like, oh, okay, now I actually have to deal with this. And now that I know that, and I'm actually hoping that Cutman Vic is my cut man again because he did an amazing job. And now that I know I ain't got to worry about a fight ending just because of a little scratch above my eye, I'm going to be able to go out there and go all out.
Plus, you have some, because it's your opponent's debut. And I know you've had one fight, but that makes, like you just said, it makes a difference. The first time it all goes down, you have to adjust to it. I mean, even if you've been in a fight before, it's different. Big stage, people watching. It's on YouTube. It's on Fight TV. It's all over the place. I think everything combined makes a debut even more so difficult in bare knuckle. That's just me.
Let me tag on to that statement because I'll get your opinion on this, Kaleb. What was the bigger transition for you? Was it more? A lot of people, I've heard mixed responses on this. Is it the offense? That's more like, is it more like hitting people with your fists? That was the bigger difference, or is it getting hit with the bare knuckle? Like, what was the bigger transition for you?
Kind of both. Like in the beginning, it was more of you have to be prepared for the sting. I like to compare bare knuckle like you're fighting with knives versus fighting with gloves. It's like you're fighting with hammers. But then in the later rounds, like I actually remember fighting Harris and actually feeling, even with all the adrenaline running through me, that when I would land a left hook, I was actually landing it not where I wanted to, but on his orbital bone. And every time I would land it on that bone, I'd feel that sharp pain in my knuckle. And so, like, the longer you stay in the ring and the longer you draw the fight out, the more precise you have to be about where you're landing the punches. And I guess you can't just go out there barbaric style and just start swinging. If you do, I hope you have good health insurance because you're going to be in the doctor's office fixing hands.
It's so much. It's like chess instead of checkers. That's how I explain it, because there's a lot more to it before you ever even get in there. Like your camp, you had to, okay, I can't throw like I would with an MMA glove. I got to dial it back. I got to pick my shots. It gives me a headache. I worry for you guys.
That was another thing about this go round that was different from my last camp. So my last camp, I came off of fighting the #1 guy in the state of Mississippi, Jesse James Wallace. 30 days later, I'm fighting bare knuckles. So the first half of my camp was MMA. The last half, we're trying to figure out, well, I'm 30 days out. I can't really do a whole lot of sparring.
Right.
So we're just running a lot of mitt rounds. And we just weren't really prepared for how to prepare for a bare knuckle fight. And like with gloves, you can be willing to stand in the pocket and do a dog fight for a little bit longer than you can with bare knuckles. So, and that's kind of where like I'm not scared to stand toe to toe and just sit there and duke it out. Like I'm not scared to do that at all.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna have longevity in this sport, I had to learn how to move my head more. So a lot of this camp was a lot more focused on head movement, slips, turns, learning how to land the shot off the move. And so I think that's something that's gonna help play into this fight.
Interesting.
So now, is it safe to say that you've done that? Is this where you feel your feet are planted? This is the sport for you? I mean,
I'm willing. My goal in life is to fight. My goal in life is to live off of fighting. That is my dream. For the longest time, my dream was the UFC. Now there's Bellator, there's PFL, there's bare knuckle boxing. Originally, the original chance that I wanted was just to be able to say I did it. I never want to be that guy looking back when he's 60 and saying, I wish I'd have done that. I want to be able to tell my kids, my grandkids, hey, your grandpa paid for his way through college by going and stepping in the ring and fighting with his bare fist.
Yeah.
And so if bare knuckle, if when I go out there and knock this guy out, if bare knuckle decides to keep me on and gives me a contract, hey, that's where I'll build my name at. If not, I'm going to continue to fight MMA as well. And you know what? MMA promotion saying, hey, we have Kaleb Harris, former bare knuckle boxing fighter, fighting on our card. That's just going to make me sell more tickets, and that just builds my name. I'm about building my brand now.
I think no matter what happens at the end of the fight, the one thing, for what it's worth, is you fought on the biggest stage for this sport already. You've done that part. So now, I mean, your brand is just what you do in the ring.
God shined down on me, and I actually got to be the unofficial co-main event for the Jason Knight Artem Lobov fight. Like, I sat there that night and was told that we were the swing bout. That there was too many pay-per-view, even be on the pay-per-view. We might have to fight after Jason Knight. And so I'm kind of bummed. And Artem actually gave me some encouraging words when I was backstage with him and his back there in the same corner. And then Chris Levin goes out there and destroys that guy in 20 seconds. They snatch me up. I think Nate Shook was the guy. He grabbed me by my shirt and said, "You're on," and pushed me towards the stage. So I'm like, okay. And so I'm trying to warm up as I'm walking down the stage to get in the ring.
Right.
Wow.
Everything happens for a reason, though. You got placed there. Exactly. You're fighting here. So it kind of seems like this is what's meant to happen for you, my man.
100%. Well, look, while we got you, we're kind of getting opinions of, especially the main event, Jim Eller's Leonard Garcia. It's an interesting fight. We know that Jason Knight, again, was supposed to be the one in there against Garcia. He had to pull out. He had the rib injury, so forth. And now we're left with Jim Ellers, who just KO'd Elvin Brito on the last card in 45 seconds or 40-some seconds, something like that,
Watch that at the house. That was nasty.
It's very nasty. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, because Leonard Garcia, he's the UFC veteran. Jim Ellers, he's a UFC vet too. But, Leonard, he's been in this game for a long, long time. And I'm sure there's not a whole lot that surprises him. How do you see this fight going?
So, man, I actually and this is no disrespect to Ellers or Garcia. Growing up, as much as I've been in the sport, I did not watch this sport. So I actually can't ever remember watching Jim Ellers or Leonard Garcia ever fight in the UFC. So I don't know what their fighting styles are. But from the clips I've seen and the bare knuckle fights that I've seen, I know it's going to be a dog-out war. I know more about Jason Knight and Chase Sherman because I watched them in local shows before they got to the big shows.
Yeah.
But
right.
As far as them two goes, man, I'm just hoping that I'm done with my fight and I've got a glass of scotch in my hand and I'm ready to just relax and watch them.
Well, heck, we'll talk about Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman, he's fighting Arnold Adams for the heavyweight title. Well, I mean, how do you see that going?
Arnold Adams is a heavy hitter. That's a big man. I've stood next to Chase Sherman and several years ago got to train with him down at Alan Belcher's for a little while. Probably actually doesn't even remember that, but I think as long as Chase sticks and moves, and I mean, as with any heavyweight, one shot's all it takes. But I think as long as Chase sticks and moves, I think he will pull it out. Like me personally, again, no disrespect to any of the fight. I thought that I had him 3-2 against Sam when they ruled it a draw. So if he wins, I'd like to see him fight Sam again because that was a really entertaining fight. But as far I'm going to be rooting for the Mississippi boy on that one. So I got Chase Sherman against Arnold Adams.
Me and Nick were also talking about that. We think that we kind of think whoever wins that, right? Did we agree on that, Nick? That we think Sam should
be next.
Sam should be next, regardless of who it is. Whoever wins that fight.
Right. No, I totally agree. I mean, he's been in what, 2 or 3 of the bare knuckles now.
He was been alive.
Yeah. Well, then, I would definitely say that earns him a title shot.
What is he? He's 3-1-1 or 4-1-1? 3-1-1.
Yeah, that sounds right. 3-1-1. Yeah. Huh.
We're waiting for the Kaleb Harris title fight. We'll be here when that happens, bro.
Hey, I can't wait. That's why I was so glad when they decided to make a 165 division, because I told the matchmakers and the local matchmaker Ricky Durian, who I fought for as an amateur, I fight at 55 in MMA. I'll fight anywhere from 55 all the way up to 75, as long as they'll put me on a card, because I've done showed on proof. I sold 2.5 times as many tickets to this fight in Biloxi as I did to my last fight in Biloxi, and I've still got guys that are they were willing to buy pay-per-view. And now that they know it's free, I know I got at least 100 people that's done said they're buying the fights. And so when I fight, I bring a crowd and I come to fight. So with this 165 division, I'm looking to secure several wins and hopefully get to fight for one of them nice looking belts.
I was gonna say, I mean, does that feel like a sweet spot to you? That 165?
It does. Cutting to 55, dieting down, because I walk around at about 178, 180 if I'm eating bad.
Yeah.
So cutting down diet wise, I can make 65 no problem. It's pulling the last 10 pounds off to get to 55. That's when you start having to pull water weight off and go home after training for 3 hours and working 8 hours that day to sit in the sauna for another hour to get another 2 pounds off, just so you can eat and drink a little bit. 65, I've had to cut for this fight, but I haven't had to kill myself for this fight. So
you're comfortable cutting
55. I would not be talking to you guys right now because I wouldn't have the energy.
I wonder that, because just, in MMA, it's been talked about for probably especially the last couple of years, about, that same thing about how you got guys who are kind of right in that middle, right? They're not quite like they can fight at welterweight, right? They can fight at 175.
But they would be a small welterweight.
Right. They're a small welterweight, but then at the same time, 155 is too much. If
they ever make a 165 MMA division, I'm never going back to 55. Like, that's just I don't see the point in cutting that much more weight when I feel comfortable at 65 and I still put on a good 10 to 15 pounds back on.
Yeah.
Now going to 170, I got a best friend, Dustin DePuma, that fights at 170 and walks around at about 190. So I'm staying away from the 170 division. I'm too long and lanky. I'd have to devote another 3 or 4 hours a day in the gym just to build up enough weight to hit 170.
Well, I'll tell you what I know is, after watching your first fight, I'm definitely excited for your second fight.
Man, I appreciate that.
Because you show up to fight. That's one thing we know that's going to happen. You're going to show up and you're going to be there ready to roll.
That's my thing, man. I don't like the trash talk. I want this sport to be something that people look at with respect. So, the trash talk, and even though it's funny, like when Conor McGregor does it and stuff like that, at the end of the day, it's silly to me. Like, I'd rather us be respectful, show up, get out there, fight like dogs, and then, go have a beer afterwards. I mean,
and you and Harris are buddies now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I've actually asked him a lot of questions about trying to get contracts with bare knuckle, and, compared to what they're paying me and what the contracts are offering, what's a good deal? Unfortunately, we weren't able to get up together for this fight to get some training in, but I'm hoping to come down and do some cross training and him come up and do some cross training.
Well, we're pulling for you, buddy. We like it. We like, you know, you have the right head on your shoulders. You have the right outlook. Like, no trash talk. It's hard to make a sport and then have everybody jump on board. So the angle you're taking is great, and
Yeah.
I'm sure the fans appreciate it. The promoters, the media, you know, we all appreciate it. You're a good egg.
I appreciate
egg,
that,
yeah.
man.
I like that
Yeah.
saying. I like
Yeah.
that saying.
That is a good thing. Yeah, but you know, like same thing, man. Like we're so glad that it's going to be on YouTube. Like I said, at first I thought it was crazy, but I'm so glad for you guys because it's going to put more eyeballs. Like you know, like I was telling Harris, I think that it's going to bring in. Hopefully, it's going to bring in a whole new audience. Maybe people who don't normally watch bare knuckle. This is going to be their first introduction. Like you guys are going to be, I think, the introduction to a lot of people who maybe have never seen it before, especially since the entire show is free. So, you know, best of luck to you, man. And you know, thank you so much for coming on. You know,
Man, I appreciate it.
I know the time is crucial and how valuable that weight cutting time is. You know, especially before Friday. So we appreciate it so much, man. And like I said, best of luck to you, sir. And everybody, Kaleb Harris, go follow him on his social media. Check him out.
I appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one, bud.